Alright, so, I don't know how to feel about this episode of Ranger Reject. So, the entire first third of this episode starts off so strong, and it was overall just really cool visually speaking. But as well, because everyone teamed up and worked together to take down this boss monster, Peltrola, I loved the initial focus on the independence with Yukino and Rinrin getting the rub as they together juggle back and forth the weapon that they use to slash at Petrola. And I like that it was Yukino that had a lot of focus this episode, not because of the heavenly pits, thanks Yubel, I'll never look at a pit the same again, but because Yukino got the shortest straw with her being manipulated by Ishikawa and then as well her childhood. So it felt nice to get that moment to have her prove herself, really felt like validation for her character, but also what she's been fighting for this entire time. Also, wow! Talk about that team up of the juniors against Peltrola too. That was equally as cool, but in a different way. Because while the independents have to use more of what they have and be scrappy in a fight, the juniors are able to really stretch their muscles much more and make use of their abilities like Yumiko's insanely OP time manipulation, Tokida's ability just to be a huge jackass, Hisui using her mouth artifact, which I think outside of Yumiko's gadgets probably is my favorite right now, and of course Masarao, which is just a super fun ability. It really did feel like Negi Hariba was trying to do a classic Sentai team-up moment here, that, you know, the one where they take down the big bad, and I think it worked out really well pretty much this entire episode. In fact, I think this is probably one of my favorite of the series so far, but I think it's surprising to see Peltrola, who went through a facility himself and killed so many people, be taken down so easily. But I don't see that as an issue, simply because Peltrola is inside a facility with Rangers and is surrounded. It makes sense that he would be ganged up on and cornered, and no matter how powerful someone may be, the reality is you have the disadvantage when it comes to numbers no matter what, even if Peltrola can replicate himself. Also, the fact that they combined their abilities was maybe my favorite part of the entire series so far. Tokida fires this dragon artifact cannon thingy, Yumiko pauses the attack, and then Hisui swallows it as they barricade Peltrola, and then Masarao using his ability to seemingly just kill them all outright. The animation for Masarao's sequence in particular looks so fluid, and you can really tell they enjoyed every moment making that. Seriously, can we get Yostar Productions on something like a Kagurabachi anime? I think if they had the potential to do something as cool as that, I think they'd actually prove a lot of people with how good their animation is. But Yumiko hating the Rangers so much, we get a short flashback of her telling Peltrola she'll allow one of them to escape. And at first, you think Peltrola will simply get away, but, well, you can't escape incest, and I never thought I'd say this, but I popped for the Pink Ranger. I mean, I never thought I'd be excited to see her in my entire life again, to be honest. But she kicks him into space, and I like this moment. Thanking him for what he did for their parents, which is, you know, killing them. She's kind of messed up, but I think we've already established that one. But it's a nice way to go full circle for her to get her revenge against her parents and Peltrola while also paying it back to. It's complicated, but sadly, Hariba-san can't let us have a moment where we can be proud of Pink Ranger, and reminds us pretty much immediately she's a dirty bro-con trying and breaking a phone in half because she can't connect to the internet or something? I have to ask though, what did that phone ever do to you, lady? It's just a phone. It's not like it did anything horrible like ruining the entire human race. Wait a minute. However, the cadets, it's a little bit of a different story as Yukino is taken hostage, which D then gives up, and as he does so, he reflects on how he would have never done something like this before. Once again, D's character showcases how far he's come this season. How being a lowly fighter who couldn't even fight a strong gust of wind to now fighting the strongest of his own kind. Also, holy crap! I freaking love the part where Ishikawa distracts Peltrola enough for Yukino to kick up a lightsaber and thrust it into his head and roll out of it. Oh my god, seriously. Give me more Yukino moments, please. Tsukasa and Rinrin, though, burst through a wall like the Kool-Aid Man, kill the Peltrola monster that was going to escape, and it's crazy that we went from Tsukasa almost taking Rinrin's head off to the two being hunky-dory. So, I guess I ship it? Also, wow. How about D using Mimicry to reveal their weapons weren't destroyed, and they slash Peltrola into pieces? Oh my god, the animation, I've said this countless times, but the animation in the series, when it's really good, is perfect for me. However, Ishikawa seemingly dies afterwards, and if there is one thing I can criticize, and it's a light criticism at best, is some of the pacing is a little too fast at some points, especially for the more dramatic moments, is what I found. Granted, it doesn't feel like they're rushing it purposefully, it just feels like the pace is a little too fast for a 20-minute runtime they get each episode. So, in a way, it almost doesn't feel like he's died. I don't know. What do you guys think about his death from the perspective of the episode's pacing, and do you think he's dead or not? Also, if you're a manga reader, don't mention, by the way, if he's dead or not. Like, I want to get, like, what you thought as maybe an anime-only reader if you think he's dead or not, whether he actually is or not. Side note, just a reminder that I'm a partner with GamerSupps. Get 10% off orders site-wide using C-Tactics at checkout or using the link in the pinned comment or description. I'm currently rocking Meat Canyon's raw meat flavor, which funnily enough tastes a lot like Jolly Ranchers. However, now this is something I wasn't expecting, but elsewhere a group of masked thugs attack a security service and steal money as Red Keeper shows up, and while the thugs think it's not the real one, they get into a really cool fight where they actually go to toe-to-toe with Red Keeper, which was pretty surprising. Usually you expect them to put up no fight, and at the end they even end up being able to steal a case of money not seen before. It also seems as if the guy who went face-to-face with the Red Keeper, Shogo, is holding a grudge against him too. And instead of partying, he decides instead to leave the party. And it turns out that this seems to actually be a flashback, which I didn't clock at first, in which Shogo, who is the current Blue Ranger in our time, fights a boss monster and gets his face all cut up. So this is kind of his origin story. And we also get to see the previous Blue Keeper, who works to provide for underprivileged children like himself. Now, this was a very intriguing backstory for the simple aspect of seeing the past Blue Keeper and how he tried his best to give back to the people who had nothing and the people in his community. It's interesting because it seems like something happened in the amount of time between these two generations of keepers that corrupted the Rangers, and I think it was the Red Keeper, because after being knocked out, he comes to, his entire head is bandaged, and Red Keeper, in a very Homelander-esque scenario, is watching a TV show of himself and seems to be absolutely engrossed in it, and this shows that his ego is pretty much through the roof. This carries over into how he recruited Shogo to be the Blue Keeper. He basically told him, hey, you can die in a prison cell as a villain or be a hero and fight as the Blue Keeper. And once again, pacing was a little too quick for me. Nothing where I'd say it was an issue, it's just, it was quick, it was quick, it was out of the way almost immediately. It felt like I couldn't sit with it and marinate, if that makes sense. And what we see is tragedy after tragedy happening to Shogo. Constantly keeps getting his comrades he cares so much about getting hurt, and through that he seems to steel himself and take on this ideology of him being better alone, and that he was alone from the very beginning, then he'd have been better off. It's sad. And at the end, he's able to avenge Komachi, who, as she says herself, isn't dead yet, and he ends up taking out Peltrola. But in a surprising twist, D shows up to face Blue at the end of the episode. Okay, what the hell was that ending? That was fire. So the finale of Season 1 Core 1, which is next week, will be Blue and D facing off. It makes me wonder if D will kill Blue and take his artifact, or if he'll steal it outright. But remember, they don't exactly need to kill them, they just need to take the artifact. I also think with the way they set up Shogo in this episode with the backstory, Harabe-san is also trying to simultaneously get off death flags. But as we know, he's a much more clever writer than you'd expect, so I could see Blue surviving this and going on to even join D, maybe? That being said, I don't know what to think. It would just be pretty dramatic to have D kill Blue as his first kill against the Keepers too. So I'm not sure where I sit, because Komachi being alive also makes me think he won't die either. I'm just so confused in a good way. I don't know what to think or what to expect out of the next episode, but either way, I'm so excited. Next week is the finale, and oh my god, this series has been such a great surprise. Drop in the comments what your thoughts were on this episode, and check out all my super sexalicious Ranger Reject videos from the weeks prior. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.